Hello and welcome to our 3CX GrandStream tutorial. I'm Bruce Keene, owner of Southern Cross Communications in the Woodlands, Texas. This tutorial is presented for our customers who use GrandStream GXP 2160 telephones on the 3CX software telephone system, but just about anyone with a similar setup can benefit. 3CX is a type of telephone system known in our industry as a soft switch. That means it does not have any hardware of its own, but exists only as software on a standard Windows PC. All of the switching and feature functions of traditional telephones are simply done on a software level. Southern Cross Communications recommends the GrandStream GXP 2160 because of its competitive price, the full-color LCD screen, and the availability of 24-button display telephones. In this video, we'll cover how to use the basic features of the GrandStream telephone. We'll go over the dial plan, which is basically a fancy way of saying what you need to dial in order to operate your telephone. We'll go over how to work with your 3CX voicemail, and finally, how to obtain technical assistance from Southern Cross. The picture on this slide is that of a GrandStream GXP 2160 telephone. It features full HD voice audio and a large variety of features both native to the phone itself and enhancements available from the 3CX telephone system. The keypad is your standard telephone keypad with the numbers 1 through 9, star, 0, and pound keys. What's important to know about the GrandStream keypad is that it is what we refer to as a hot keypad, meaning that you do not need to pick up the phone or press the speakerphone to dial a number. Simply begin dialing with the handset in the cradle, and the numbers you dialed will begin appearing in the interactive display. The interactive display is a full-color LCD screen that allows you to view calls in progress at your phone, choose among available options, and review and change status for your phone. The phone may be customized to provide web-based information such as the weather. The background desktop is customizable as well. One thing that people tend to confuse about line keys is that they are not a one-to-one representation of incoming phone lines as they are on many smaller key telephone systems. Instead, they operate on the same principle as larger telephone systems, where the lines are simply placeholders for the telephone calls for each phone. This particular phone is capable of holding up to 6 voice-over IP telephone systems or services. We will go over the differences later when we get into the actual operation of the phone. The GXP 2160 has a row of 5 soft feature keys. What those keys do changes based on the state of the phone. If you're on a call, the functions will be different than if you have a call on hold or if your phone is idle. Labels at the bottom of the interactive display change based on what features are available at any given time. The message waiting light provides a visual alert for voice messages. The phone can also be programmed to flash this light when the calls come in, so that a user who is away from their desk in a busy call center can visually determine that it is their phone ringing, not someone else's. The most powerful feature of the 2160 is the 24 flexible feature keys. These can be programmed to play a variety of functions based on your needs. Most commonly, we use them as a function known as DSS-BLF to display the on-hook status of other telephones. But they can also be used for speed dial, call park, access control, and other functions. In the center of the phone is an area known as the control pad. This area provides fine-tuned operations for configuring the phone and placing, receiving, and handling calls. The navigation keys are primarily used for navigating through information displayed on the interactive display. With the phone in an idle state, which means there are no active calls and the screen is in its home position, you can go into the phone's programming mode by pressing the center OK button. Pressing the up arrow key will display a list of missed telephone calls. The right arrow key will display answered telephone calls, and the down arrow key will display a history of calls you dialed. This feature is especially useful when you want to return a call to someone. The volume keys are context sensitive. If the phone is idle, they control ringing volume. You should be careful with this because it is possible to turn ringing completely off on the phone using these keys. It will also change the speaker volume of the speakerphone or the handset, depending on which of these two features you are using at the time. The dial key is used to signal the system that you are finished entering your telephone number and are ready to begin the call. If you haven't dialed anything, it will serve as a redial key, calling the last number you dialed, whether it is a telephone number or extension. The speakerphone button is just that. Push it and it will give you the dial tone on the speaker. It's also used to switch between handset and speaker, and while on the handset call, you can press the speakerphone button and hang up to resume your call. If you have dialed a phone number prior to pressing the speakerphone button, it will act as a dial key and place the call. If you're on a speakerphone call, this button will also drop the call. The next button is the voicemail button, which dials the active voicemail system. We'll go over a little bit more on how to operate voicemail later on in this tutorial. We are also able to program a list of contacts on your phone. You can use this button to program new contacts or browse your existing list. Use this button to transfer calls and this button to set up conference calls. One thing to be aware of about the hold key. A call can only be retrieved from the phone that placed the call on hold. That way no one can accidentally steal a call from you that you might have placed on hold. We'll go over on another slide how to park a call where the other phones can retrieve it. One of the nice features about Grandstream phones is that they offer excellent headset integration. There is a separate jack on the back of the telephone where a standard telephone headset can be plugged in. This button turns that headset on or off and operates the same way the speakerphone button does. And lastly, there's the mute key, which prevents the far end from hearing what you're saying. This is particularly useful when you're on a conference call and do not wish everyone in the conference to hear you speak with others in the room. In normal operation of the telephone, you will likely use the DSS BLF sidecar to process calls. In this example, a call is ringing at extension 300. You might be able to hear a phone ring in another room, but you will be able to determine which phone is ringing by observing the flashing red key. To pick up the call, all you need to do is press the pickup key labeled here. The ringing on the other phone stops and you will have the call on your phone. Of course, if the call is for you, you can simply handle it and hang up. Otherwise, you can transfer the call by pressing the transfer key and any DSS key. Here we are transferring the call to extension 301. Extension 301 will then flash to let you know that that phone is ringing, and you can retrieve the call by pressing the flashing DSS key or pressing the pickup key again. We may not always know where the intended recipient is, so it might be more prudent to park the call instead of transfer it. To do this, press the transfer key, then one of the park orbits programmed on the phone. This will place the call on hold and turn that button to a solid red on all phones. The recipient then presses that key to retrieve their call. If you need to send the caller directly to someone's voicemail without ringing their phone, you simply need to press the transfer key, dial *4, then the extension number of the recipient, followed again by the transfer key. It is important to note that you must dial the extension number. You cannot use the DSS keys to transfer a call directly into someone's voicemail. Again, in all cases, you must always complete a transfer by pressing the transfer button or the transfer soft key that is in the interactive display. One nice thing about working with a voice over IP telephone system, as opposed to a traditional system, is that you are not dialing out over a live line. So if you make a mistake, you can make corrections without having to hang up and start all over. It also means that the system looks at the whole number and you no longer have to press a line key or dial 9 to distinguish an outgoing call from an internal intercom call. So placing phone calls is very intuitive. Dialing a 3 or 4-digit number is automatically recognized as an internal call. A 7 or 10-digit number is recognized as an external call. Calls beginning with 011 are treated as international calls, and so on. The system is also configured in programming to recognize 411, 311, 211, and 911 services and route accordingly. Feature access codes are common for most telephone systems. With 3CX, here are a few codes you may need to use from time to time. You can prevent calls from coming to your extension by dialing *61 followed by the dial key to turn the Do Not Disturb feature on. Turn it off by dialing *60 then dial key. You may practice directed pickup of a ringing call by dialing *20* then dialing the ringing extension number. This way, you do not accidentally pick up a call that you did not intend to pick up. This feature is useful in larger applications where you might have more than one phone ringing on the system at the same time. In smaller offices, this condition is extremely rare. If for any reason you don't want to use the voicemail button, you can dial the voicemail system directly by dialing 999. We've already covered transferring callers to voicemail. The off-hook intercom feature is used in times when you want to go straight to the speakerphone of the intended recipient. The phone will ring once to alert the user, but then it will go straight to speaker. It's actually not required for you to use the DSS keys for transferring calls. Simply press the transfer button, dial the extension, enter with or without dialing *9. You can then announce the call, highly recommended when you use *9, or simply complete the transfer by pressing the transfer button again. To initiate a conference call, you can press the conference button. This places the current caller on hold and allows you to dial your second party, followed by the dial key. When you press the conference button again, it brings you and your other two parties together. If you wish to add another party, start over at step 1. If for any reason you want to speak with someone privately or drop one of the parties, you simply press the hold key. This will place everyone in the conference on their own individual line key buttons, and you can select each one individually. If you want more than 5 or 6 parties in the conference, we will have to set up a conference bridge, and that is beyond the scope of this tutorial. Voicemail. To get into the voicemail system, either dial 999 and the dial button, or you can simply press the envelope button. The system will ask you for your unique PIN code. Enter this code and press pound. The system will tell you how many messages you have. You have the option to press star to listen to your messages, 9 to set up your mailbox, or pound to drop the call. During playback and immediately after listening to any messages, you have the following options. 0 lets you skip to the next message. 1 takes you to the previous message. 2 replays the current message. 3 deletes the current message and then plays the next one. 4 allows you to return the call of the current message based on available caller ID. 5 gives you the ability to forward the message to another user. 9 takes you back to the voicemail options menu, and pound drops your call. If you press 9 in the main voicemail menu, you have a number of options. I won't go over those that are not used very much, but by pressing 5, you can change your name prompt. This is simply a recording of your first and last name and is used in verification that you have the correct extension. It is also used in dial by name directories. 6 plays mailbox information such as any features that are active and how many messages you have. 7 allows you to change your PIN number. We recommend that you keep this password relatively complicated. The best way to do that is to pick a word and use the letters on your keypad to spell that word. This PIN code can be changed by your system administrator if you lose it. Pressing 8 allows you to change your greeting message for your mailbox. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call or an email. We may be reached by dialing 281-924-2135 or via email at service@southerncrossphones.com. This concludes the tutorial for basic operation of the 3CX with GXP 2160 telephones.